my channel, and if you're new, welcome. I'm glad you found this. That's supposed to be a heart. Today we are talking about taking photographs with, Today we are talking about taking photographs with our cell phones. Whether you have an iPhone, an Android, or even a different kind of cell phone. They all come with cameras, and these cameras have improved so much from the cell phones and the cameras of like 10, 15 years ago. Plus, we always have these with us, whether we're going to work, whether we're on our way on vacation, or doing just mundane tasks in between, we always have our cell phones. So I thought I'd just give you some tips and tricks to help you maybe make those Instagram photos a little better, maybe to make those shots that if you're selling stuff on Etsy, Marketplace, or another online selling forum, that your pictures are really high quality, they really show your product, and maybe you'll get more sales. I don't know, maybe on Instagram you'll get more followers, who knows. But anyway, so that's what we're talking about today, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is keeping your photos simple. And when I mean simple, I mean simple. Now here we have two white rose bushes, okay? This is a simple photograph. The background is a plain wooden fence. There's nothing busy going on. So you immediately know when you look at this picture what the subject of this photo is. And that's important. So many people try to take photos of objects or things, and the background's so busy that you're not really sure what you're supposed to be looking at, and then the eye and the mind have trouble focusing, and maybe you're not getting what you wanted in focus. Now in this photograph of the blue pot with the red flower, again, the concrete wall is the plain background, so you're just focusing on the red flower and the blue pot, which immediately draws your eye, and that's very, very important. So keep your photo simple. The second thing is when you take a photo, normally when we take photos, we're shooting from here or here, which is making them, midway on the body or even higher depending on how you're doing it. A great technique to do, or a great technique to start using, is to start taking your photos from lower angles. So when you're shooting, say I'm shooting this red rose right here, what I want to do is I'll get my camera and I'll go get in a lower angle down, and I'll face my camera up. So what I'm looking at then when I post my photo is going to be a view from underneath almost, and a different perspective. And this again will just add some interest. It might set your photos apart from some of the other ones on Instagram, on Etsy, or other selling sites. And you can do multiple different photos. I know on Etsy you can put up 10, so you could do one from the traditional front view if you wanted to, do one from the low view, and then that gives you a little more perspective on the product you're selling, or an Instagram on what you're trying to highlight. So that's a nifty little trick. Now another little trick is to show depth. And depth is, you want your eye to trail in your photo. You don't want it to just stop at the beginning. You want people to look into your photo and see what the picture is, okay? So I'm going to give you an example of this. And I'm going to use a fence line to do it. You can also use marks on a road. You can use a natural progression, like on the beach when you have the water coming up, it forms a line, and maybe you're picking somebody walking up the beach towards you, following that line. That's a great progression. That will bring depth, and their eyes will progress to what you're trying to take the picture of. Okay, so let me show you along the fence. Okay, in this shot you see the fence, and your eye is bringing you all the way to the palm trees right here. So if the palm trees are what I want to be the subject of this photo, this is what I'm going to post on Instagram, then the fence will lead you right to the palm trees, and that's adding depth into your photograph. If you're able, another neat trick is definitely to catch up close pictures, especially if there's an interesting natural pattern or color variations or something really different. Like in this green flower, you can see all of the individual petals, and it's like looking at architecture, really. So it adds interest. In this other photograph, you can also see the up close of a stamen of a flower, the pollen actually on there, maybe the pollen on the bee itself. So doing up close photography gives you this kind of new world insight into things that you might not have seen before. And I kind of love it myself. It's kind of one of my favorite things to do. Now, another favorite thing to do is to take silhouettes. This is my daughter silhouetted at the beach, and the way you take silhouettes is easy. You find your subject, you put them in the light and take the picture. Because you're shooting into light, it automatically silhouettes your subject. It could be a boat, it could be a car, it could be a flower, and all you're going to get is the basic outline. No color will prevail, and I think that's a really cool trick. Another kind of different thing to do is to definitely include shadows, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, now this photo would be, you could call it leaves, because you're actually, instead of taking photos of leaves though, you're taking photos of the shadow of leaves. It's a different perspective, it gives more interest, and again, you're just trying to stand out from the everyday shots that people post, millions and millions of photos on Instagram every day. If you want to stand out, do something different. Another great way to stand out is by using reflection. And you've seen reflection pictures probably in water. You can also use it in glass. If you look at, you can see the reflections of the trees in my window there. And that is a reflection. I'm actually not facing the trees. Again, it's just a different take. It's adding interest, and it's giving you some skills that when people look at your photos, they're going to go, oh wow, they're doing reflection shots, or they're using shadows. So I want to follow this person to see what they come up with next. Also make sure, basically when we take photos, we've always been taught to line it up in the center. But this is actually not what you want to do. I'm going to go back to my white roses here, and I'm going to use one like that. If you're taking this photo, this is the perfect way to take it because you want to offset. Normally, the subject of your photo should not be in the center. It should be on the thirds method. And the thirds is where you have a grid like this one. You have 2 vertical lines and 3 horizontal lines. And you want to try to line your subject of your photo up where the lines meet, the intersections of the lines. So if you notice, that's never in the center, but it's always going to be off to the left or to the right. And that's just another photography trick that professional photographers use a lot. If you go back and look at some professional photographers' work. The last thing I kind of want to touch on is sometimes you might want to use symmetry. And again, if you do, make sure you have a balanced shot like our 2 rose bushes. They're even pretty much balanced on each side, and this is a very symmetrical shot. Again, just pleasing to the eye. All of these techniques and tricks, they're pleasing to the eye. They're going to increase your followers probably, because people are going to want to see, they're going to see that you're using interesting shots. They're going to not know maybe why they like your shots, but they're going to like them, and they're going to be like, hey, I want to see more of this person's Instagram, so I'm going to follow them. Or, hey, I like the way this product looks. It looks different than the same 12 I just looked at, and I want to buy this person. So photography can be a very powerful tool. And using your cell phone, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, it just makes it that much more easy and makes photography that much more available to everybody. You don't have to go out and buy a special camera anymore to afford to do great shots. So I hope you enjoyed this, our tips and tricks for using your cell phones for photography. I hope, it helps boost your following or boost your sales, or just makes you feel good about your photos that you take. Maybe it gets you some, hugs from the family. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great day. Take care, and I'll see you next time.